I'm a Bandicoot. I'm from Australia. Welcome to the Explosion Network's Crash Bandicoot. What's it called? What's it called?
The N-Sane Trilogy.
The N-Sane Trilogy. I should have double checked that before we started. The N-Sane Trilogy review discussion video. Me and Jack are going to discuss the latest, the biggest release of the year. It's probably maybe not the biggest release of the year, but it is worth noting as of right now, where I live, no one can find it in apparently all of freaking Tasmania. Apparently it's just sold out everywhere.
Pretty much from what I'm hearing, it's sold out everywhere. So This is good, I guess, for PlayStation, for video game fans. Maybe this means we'll get more.
It's making me very happy.
Insane trilogies and remakes.
It's making me want two things, Crash Team Racing and Spyro. Hopefully I get one of them. Hopefully I get both of them.
God, hope we get Spyro. That'd be handy.
It's something though. But of course, the biggest worry that a lot of people had going into this Crash collection was, and the thing a lot of naysayers like to point it out, is that they were like, the games are shit. Everyone has high nostalgia for them. When this collection actually comes out, everyone's actually just gonna play it and be like, this is, it was way better in my mind. It held up a lot better. I wish I never played it. Stuff like that. So we're just going to quickly go through, discuss each game, 1, 2, 3, how you think about them now compared to what they were in your memory from ages ago, or if you never played all of them, that kind of thing. And what do you think a kid or someone who never played these games, mainly a kid, I suppose, playing this collection now would think of these games? Because I think a lot of people, particularly people around my age who grew up on these games, might be buying this collection to show it to their younger kids and stuff like that. So it's interesting to say the least. So let's kick it off with Crash 1, which I fucking hate a lot. I hate so much. I've streamed all of Crash 1 and 2 on twitch.tv/Explosion Network. And if you watch my Crash 1, oh man, I nearly threw my freaking controller out the window. That game, they fixed some of the issues. They fixed the controls a little bit better. The analog stick makes it a little bit better. It still controls like hot shit. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's one thing you can say about Crash 1 in the N-Sane Trilogy is that, goddamn, is it faithful to the original. Mm-hmm. I was playing through that game, and I played the first few levels, and you sort of get through them. I'm like, yeah, this is fun. Yep, this is nostalgia. Yep. And then you get into like the next sort of 10 levels, and it's frustrating as fucking all hell. Mm-hmm. It's clunky. It's finicky. The platforming is really bad at times. You like click and then like you want Crash to do things and it feels like he's unresponsive. It feels like a PS1 game, which is credit to it because this is what it's meant to be, I guess. I mean, I'm guessing that that's what they went for, is for this to be as faithful to the original as possible. Mm-hmm. Having said that, I was having an absolute blast with it. As frustrated and as annoyed and angry as I was getting, and there was levels where I'm like, this is just cheap. Like, it feels cheap. It feels not fun. Mm-hmm. It was
How far did you
frustrating.
Get? How far have you gotten one?
I'm about a quarter of the way through Crash 1. And I put about 4 hours in on Friday night when I got home with it, and I couldn't do any more. I thought I was going to have a fucking brain aneurysm at one point. But I couldn't stop playing. Like, it was so fun. I was having a blast with it. It was nostalgic. It led me to sort of think a little bit about the games themselves. And if this game was released as an indie type platformer game today, like in 2017, with these types of graphics or whatever, it would probably be like a 5 out of 10 on PSN.
Very much so. Very much so. If you was to review Crash 1 these days, it would be, I would be giving it like a 5 or something, if that.
Yeah, like that's what I was playing it thinking, I'm like, this is really cool, this is fun, this is like nostalgia, and I was having a really good time, and I'm guessing a bit of that was like the nostalgia sort of part of it, but I was playing it thinking, okay, what if this was like, it wasn't a remake, this was just a game released on the PSN in 2017, it would be a shallow, not very well playing platformer. It would not be too fun.
I think when reviewing this collection, they don't try and they didn't try and hide the fact that it is it's called a collection. The opening credits, they're like, you get to see the old Crash, his little pixel form.
And he gets like,
sucked in, then he comes
thing.
out as a new one. So they're very obvious about the fact that this is a remaster collection, and I'm not saying you give it a huge free pass for that, but of course you do have to take that into account when reviewing or judging the games, I suppose.
Yeah, that's sort of my point, is that if it wasn't a remake, it would probably be judged a lot harsher for what it is, which is not a very good game.
Crash fun.
Very, lacking in...
The gameplay's terrible, let's be honest.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, it's pretty
the
bad.
gameplay in Crash 1 is terrible. The plus of even some of the level design in a lot of the levels is absolutely atrocious. So many cheap depths. There's so many moments. I was spitting it on stream at the third or fourth level. There's like the Great Wall, and there's a section where you have to jump on these couple of platforms, and this fire just killed me. And I was like, I think this level's broken. Like, I don't think you can legitimately make it across here. And the only way I made it across was like getting a free mask from dying so many times, and then getting a 3 like ghost effect through to the end of the thing. And I saw a video on Facebook the other day of like someone chucking their controller across the room, spitting at that part. So I'm like, it wasn't just me. It's the level design is bad. The gameplay is not really great. The only thing it really has going for it is the aesthetics and the character designs. And I think a lot, the bosses, even though the boss battles are kind of lame and boring for the most of the part.
They just feel like they almost don't even need to be there.
I think back in the day they were interesting, but we've grown a lot more accustomed to games even not having boss battles, and if they do have boss battles, they're a lot more epic and a lot more involved. But the character models, like as soon as I got into the first part with what's his name, Apu, something like that. I was like, oh, look how cool he looks. Like, he looks really great. Like the effects on his face. There's little details that they've added into it that I was really, really enjoying. Anyway, I think we can both, by sound of it, we both agree Crash 1 does not hold up at all very well. My big advice to anyone picking up this collection, and if they start playing Crash 1 and they start getting really angry and annoyed at it, I would just be like, honestly, just skip it. Just move on. Just go to 2, 3, whatever. Start at 2. Because starting at 2, you can automatically, as soon as I jumped into 2, I was like, oh, this already feels so much better. Much better. Crash moves a little bit faster. He controls a little bit better. The level design's a lot
smoother.
more.
It's much smoother.
Very much, yeah.
Which sort of leads me to believe, or leads me to sort of wonder, is with this. I mean, they've obviously gone with, we want this to be as authentic to what the original is, because they could have very easily just fixed a few things.
We can't fix that level design.
Well, no. Well, that's the thing. Like, you can sort of tweak a little bit, move one platform here, move one, like just shuffle stuff around a little bit. It's not like anyone's really going to, unless they play Crash like yearly, no one's really going to remember that. So it really, like, either they were just lazy as fuck, and like, we're just going to up-res it, make it exactly the same.
They put so much effort into this. It was a choice.
That's what I mean. Like, it must be a choice. I don't know whether it's a good choice or a bad choice.
I think it's a bit of both. It's a bad choice because
you're gonna piss people off either way, right? You're gonna have people be like, "Oh, they didn't fix it," shit, like us.
So I consider myself a big Crash fan, but there's going to be some hardcore Crash fans out there that play all of these games yearly and like speed run them and all sorts of crazy shit like that. That if you change the slightest platform detail or something like that,
they would know.
They would know. They'd know and they'd spit it, and they would consider the faults that we are pointing out in something like Crash 1. They consider that like part of the charm and part of the game. So it's a win-loss situation, I think.
Yeah, most definitely. And having said that, like, I'm happy that it is the way that it is. As frustrating as it was and like annoying at times, I still had a lot of fun with it.
How so you haven't played much of 2 or 3 yet. But did you play like the first level? So
yeah, I've played the first. Yeah, so I've played like the first like
world.
I guess the first world of both. Crash 2, and I'm assuming it gets harder as it goes in. So, like, I've gone from Crash 1 straight into Crash 2, obviously, and it was almost too. It was almost too easy, and so and ultimately because of that, I wasn't having as much fun because I was just breezing through levels, and that's when I started thinking even more about, like, this is a mediocre platformer for what a 2017 considers a decent video game.
I didn't start dying until probably like World 3. So the last couple worlds, Worlds 3, 4, and 5 actually started having a bit of a challenge, which when you consider it, making the first world kind of easy, and then making the second world a little bit harder, and then by the time you get to Worlds 3, you're dying a few times, 4, and then by the time I got to the 5th world, the last one, there was one level that took me like a lot of tries. So, I don't know, the difficulty builds in Crash 2. I felt like as soon as I started that, like you, I was like, wow, this game's a breeze, it's so much easy. But then as the hours went by, because I played for it all in one sitting as well, so I noticed how the difficulty spike. It does have a bit of a difficulty spike in it, which is better than 1, which I feel is just like it's kind of stupid from the start.
Yeah, one's really sort of unbalanced.
It's like
yeah, exactly. It goes from like cruising along, all good, and then all of a sudden, and not finishing that level, and then it comes back down. It's unbalanced is the way. It's the old Mega Man conundrum.
Pretty much.
Mega Man 1, unbearably hard and difficult and sort of unfair at times. Mega Man 2, still a tough game, but play it like once you sort of work out the cues and the timing and stuff like that, you can sort of get through it sort of pretty easily and work out the mechanics and that kind of thing. But 2, like I felt like 2 was a bit bare bones just for the first level. Still looks beautiful.
That's another thing to point out, that I think all 3 look amazing. Like really amazing. Definitely. I think all 3 look, if like talking about it, the gameplay and level design and all these things, they definitely show their age, and the story shows its age, especially in 1 and 2, which has very much of a story. But graphically, I think it looks like something that could have been made today's day and age.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So, yeah, it's definitely beautiful. They're beautiful games. Everything, it's like they haven't cut any corners in the presentation. That's for sure. They've like character designs on Crash, the enemies, the movements, the animations. Like there's no pop in of texture. Not that it's like it has to be like a super intensive game graphically, but everything sort of looks great all the time, which is good. There's no sort of cut in, there's no clipping, there's no frame rate issues.
No, frame rate's pretty good. I wish it could have been 60 frames per second on my PS4 Pro, and I feel like that's something that they need to use that feature more to get it, because they could very easily do it, I think, and that's what I thought the Pro was meant to be for, but no, it's 30 frames across all consoles, which it's fine, but I feel like the game would be, especially like a platformer, you will tell the difference between 30 and 60 fairly easily.
It would definitely benefit from it, for sure, especially Crash 1, where some of the platforming is quite finicky.
Wait until you get to those bridge in the sky levels.
I'm not looking forward to that. I can't. I'm thinking about it, and I'm seeing like Let's Plays and things of people playing it. I'm just like, oh, fuck off.
It is terrible.
And even like it's funny, sort of like it's a bit of a snapshot. And it's sort of the, they obviously went the exact opposite route to, the Ratchet and Clank remake that we got last year, in that Ratchet and Clank was fully redone, like they even changed the story, they changed levels. It was it was a different game to the first game. It was still had the same sort of feel, but it was a different game ultimately. And these games are exactly the same. So it's sort of, where with Ratchet you sort of had the, let's take a fan favorite, a nostalgic thing from back in the day, and let's improve it. And
to be fair, Crash, Ratchet was like a newer game, and it was also a game that had it hadn't died up. Like they were still making games up until a couple years before they remade it. They had the movie coming out. It wasn't like a dried up franchise, and Crash has been a dried up franchise for basically since 3.
More so for like the game design and that. So like with the game design for Ratchet, they really improved on almost everything, whereas with Crash, they've sort of just kept everything the same. They've just improved it graphically. They've just made it a graphically, competent game for 2017 standards. And just, it's a bit of a snapshot into time of how different games were sort of put together back in the day, and how sort of simple it was, and how something like that at the time was considered, an amazing game, like a fan favorite, and we play it now and it's, doesn't hold up. And it's funny, you go back and play games like that, and you play, I've been playing like PS2 classics and stuff like that, and even some PS2 games you're playing, and you're like, fuck, controllers are fucked, like the controls are fucked.
I can't play the original Tomb Raider at all. Like I find it impossible to play, so
there's stuff like that that's just unbearable. Like I was playing Star Wars Bounty Hunter the other day, all I had of that game is fond memories. This is like one of my favorite games of all time. Amazing gameplay, story, all the whole thing. I go back and play it in like 2017. I'm like, I couldn't even get through the first level. I'm like, this is horrid. You jumping with fucking triangle and shit. It's just so it's funny to sort of see Crash in that way, and that even like the boss battles is probably the big one. It's like I'm getting into like the boss battles in Crash, and I'm like, all right, cool. I'm like trying to spin, fucking kick the thing, and I'll slide into it. And I'm like, the fuck? I'm like, I'm just jump on the dude's head 3 times.
Yeah, the Ripperoo fight in Crash 2 is
Ripperoo.
It's the worst boss battle in that game, but it's a very
it's probably the worst boss battle of all time.
And of that time boss battle, it's very much like you just memorize the pattern, then you stand in a certain spot, memorize the next pattern, you stand in the exact same spot, and then once you know what to do, you just jump on his head 3 times. And that's basically how most of the boss battles go. That's how most of them are in the first Crash as well. It's very much memorize the pattern, do the thing you need to do. The boss battles in Crash,
dodge the attack, jump on the head.
They're not very exciting.
No, and they almost don't even need to be in there, to be honest.
Back in the day, though, they were a lot more exciting and infuriating than they are now. So it's interesting. The other thing that I found, like going between 1, 2, and 3, especially like playing them so close now, is the story aspect. It's so interesting to me for some reason. Crash 1, barely any story. They set up with an intro clip, and then you basically get no story between the start of the game and the end of the game. You never see Cortex. There's never any explanation for the female.
Why he's doing experiments.
Why he's doing all this and all this sort of stuff. And at the end of the game, you obviously beat Cortex, and it ends with Crash standing there with the female version, like he gets the girlfriend. Very much a save
which
the
is like his sister in the end, isn't it?
No, they changed it. They should lose her. So it's very much a save the princess trope. Crash 2 starts, they go 1 year later, he's sitting on the beach with Coco. Where'd Coco come from? Where the fuck did his girlfriend go that we saved at the end of the first game? Don't know. They introduce a random different doctor character that Cortex is now working with, and the other doctor character that he worked with from the first game is now trying to work against Cortex. Don't know why. Third game starts. All of a sudden, Cortex has been working for an evil mask the entire time of the last 2 games.
All of a sudden, this fucking mask. It's like, oh, okay. And Ooga Booga's just like, he's like, oh, yeah, by the way, I've got this fucking evil brother who's been hiding under the ground. It's like, oh, that would have been fucking useful information 2 games ago, you fuckwit.
That's another thing they changed to. When you die in 1 and 2, they changed the game over screen to include him, which is a nice little tie it all together feature, I suppose.
He's quite creepy. It's quite a creepy sort of
dude,
something like and I'm like, oh fuck.
So
scary dude.
I enjoyed my time with 2. It's fine. I think it's I think Crash 2 is a fine game. I don't think it's a great game. I think it holds up way better than 1 does, and I didn't get way annoyed. The level designs are way better. The gameplay I had less issues with. I wasn't spitting it over random shit that wasn't like out of my control and stuff like this. When you get to Crash 3, though, consider it one of my favorite games of all time. I played that game through and through so many times as a kid growing up. Still holds up. And it's no surprise to me because I played Crash 3 like a couple years ago. I found my copy of it and I stuck it in and played through like half the game. And even playing it a couple years ago on PS1 with a PS1 controller, I had no issues playing it. The controls were fine, everything like this. So playing this one again, I had 0 issues really to do with it. Most of the control problems I had with 3 were mostly the vehicular stuff. And the vehicular stuff, they've kind of tweaked a little bit so controls a little bit better. But Crash 3, great. Love it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's having only played the first world of Crash 3, it's already better than 1 and 2 sort of combined, because just the variety.
It's just way better level design. The fact you get to play as Coco, there's the running levels, there's the normal levels, there's the side-scrolling levels, there's the vehicle levels. The swimming levels, the boss battles are way better. The story, there's way more story. There's got even the opening cinematic has more story in it than the previous 2 games put together. So it's overall just a way better package. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. It's I mean, I don't know whether it's just they added in extra. I feel like it even looks better than the first 2. Just I don't know whether even just I feel like they've between the first one, the second one, and the third one, they've done something in the remake to just make them slightly less, like slightly as you go along, and they get slightly better looking.
I think
just to tweak, not like a great deal, but I just feel like Crash looks just a little bit better in number 3 than it did in 2. And
I feel like they've done it on purpose in a way that playing through them all together in the collection, you will, if you go from Crash 1 through to 3, as you go, you will notice they'll start to look better, they'll start to play better, they'll start to sound better, they'll just start to do, and they could have made them all look the same. Like, that's not an issue. But that's like a choice they must have made, so that when you do play it in order, it's kind of like its own thing for you to experience. So kind of reminiscent of the PS1 era of, again, where if you played from Crash 1 to 3 on your original PS1, you would have saw the graphics get better as well. So
yeah, obviously, yeah.
There's a lot of nostalgia stuff chucked into all these games as well. Like the save feature has like the PS1 memory card when you go to save, and stuff like that. So I don't know. I think they're open to adding. They know this game's riding off nostalgia, so why not?
Yeah, they've milked it for everything that's worth, and they've done a good job. Like, the game's sold out everywhere.
Yep.
You can really only buy it digital now, so it's my local EB's sold out. I've heard of several JBs that are sold out. All pre-orders were exhausted through JB. Which is good. Like, this is good for the gamer. Like, this all this means now is that Sony has put out, I believe this is coming to Xbox.
That's the rumor. It's anything but confirmed. So.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, we've had two, let's call them Sony exclusives, because technically it's a timed exclusive or whatever it ends up being that way. But two exclusive remakes of nostalgic platformers. It says a few different things. It says, one, that the market is still ripe for a triple A or even an A sort of grade platformer, and that people will want those games and play them. And that people are down for nostalgia, and these characters and that are still relevant. Like Ratchet sold really well. Crash has obviously sold phenomenally better than I sort of anticipated it would. I thought it would sell well. I didn't think that it would be sold out in stores and unable to find it. And like, when I went into my EB on Friday, like, there was 30, 40 copies on the on the shelf still. So over the weekend, it's obviously sold out. So it shows that people, that platformers are still a relevant genre, that people, still have a taste for nostalgia with these kinds of things, and we're probably going to get more of these games. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if PSX, we get an announcement of a Spyro collection, or who knows, fucking Croc or Gex or something. Like, these games could come back in droves.
If anything, it's going to be Spyro, because Activision will see all the dollar bills kind of rolling in front of their eyelids and be like, "Hey, how about you kick that Spyro collection into gear?" And I wouldn't have been. I already theorized. Like, the only reason
it's probably already in development.
I already thought, I think just judging off the pre-order numbers, they probably would have just said, don't go full ahead, but just move hard. Like, chuck a couple guys onto it and just see how you go for now. And if the pre-order numbers pull through, which they have, go into full gear on that Spyro collection remake.
Definitely.
So Spyro, I think, will hold up a lot better under remade as well, because I think a lot of people don't realize it's such a weird yearly time thing. The first Spyro game hadn't even come out when Crash 3 released. That's how old Crash is. Crash is a lot older than some people realize. Like, and Spyro's was running into the later into the generation than a lot of people realize, I think, that Crash was. It's weird though. One thing I want to point out that I think that holds up the best in all the Crash games, and was kicking my nostalgia meter up to about 10, was the music.
I was just going to say, the sound, the music.
The music,
yeah,
the sounds and everything.
Sounds great. The music, the sound effects, it's all, it does. It really, like, the music just gets you.
I've been humming it all day, just like dun 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 dun. Yeah, like, just see I'm walking around humming tunes all day. It's great. I love it. It's so that's it. I mean, that's one thing you can't really screw up. So, is the music.
Yeah, pretty much.
So. That was I just think it's I'm very happy with the collection. I'm not let down. I haven't, as much as I've said from the get-go, don't think Crash 1's a good game. I think Crash 2 is a great game. Playing it again, it's an okay game. I still think, like, at the time, Crash 2 was a great game as far as I'm concerned, like on PS1 era. Crash 3, still an amazing game. playing it now is still an amazing game. I think the collection for its price, especially if you can pick it up at the around the $40 price or $49 price or something like that, I think that's a great price to pay for this. And I think there's a lot of content to be had in here, especially with all the stuff they've added and the fact that they're adding DLC that we already know for Crash 1, which presumably they're going to add DLC for Crash 2 and 3 if we're going to judge off that. The time trials added into Crash 1 and 2 that weren't in them originally adds a lot more gameplay to the games and a lot more, well, the difficulties or hell, but it just expands this. So I think it's worth the money, especially if you have a nostalgia boner for this.
There's no trophies attached to the time trials.
It sure is.
Oh, fuck that.
Yeah, that's why the platinum the platinum to me kind of just, as soon as I found that out, I was like,
it's drifted away.
It's kind of just
when I finished like the first couple of levels of Crash and I sort of looked back and I'm like, saw the little clock there. I'm like, I paused the game, I saw the clock, so I'm like, oh, fuck no. No fucking way.
I tried doing some of the I don't think I could platinum 1. I would not have the effort to do some of those levels in time trials.
That's the problem. It's not like, it's not like it's not time consuming as in like, oh, it takes a while, you got to replay the level 4 times, blah, 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 but you've got to like ace the level in a short amount of time when it's fucking impossible to do it even when you're taking your time. So
you've basically got to hit every single time box you can and not make any mistakes. So yeah, my platinum run of 1 might be postponed until, I don't know. I don't know. Ever. Yeah. So are you happy with your purchase? You having a lot of fun? Do you regret this? Do you think it's a bad?
No, not at all. I mean, I took advantage of the EB Games trade to get
$20.
Get it $20. Yeah, to trade it in 2 3-year-old Call of Duty games and got Crash for $20. Like I said, having an absolute blast. As frustrating as Crash 1 is, Crash 2 is a bit vanilla for me so far. I'll have to get a little bit deeper into that. See
Crash
how
3
it
is where
opens
it's
up
at, though.
Crash 3, though, sort of already just having played the first world, powered through it pretty quickly, so you can sort of knock these games over fairly fast.
They're not very long, though.
No,
but the replay to get all the box gems and the time trial gems and stuff like that, so...
That's where it's
all the replays at.
I'm looking forward to I'm looking forward to going back and trying to beat Crash 1. I feel like it'll be one of those games that if I can beat it, it'll be like an accomplishment. Like I'll feel like I've accomplished something.
I never beat it as a kid, so beating it the other day, that was the first time I'd actually ever finished that game. So I was quite happy with myself.
2, I'm sort of a little bit that I've played it. I'm sort of a little bit, about it. I could go either way with it. I can sort of. I'll probably just have to power through it. And I'm not really going to care too much.
Wait until you get to the levels where you're riding the polar bears and you're running away from giant polar bears and stuff like that. That's a lot more fun.
But I'm looking forward to getting into Crash 3 and just sort of seeing what a pretty decent platformer can be.
So my final question would be, do you reckon if William was a lot older, a few years older, would this be something, probably not Crash 1, but would Crash 2 be a game you'd want to show him, to sit him down to play, or...
Yeah, for sure. And it's very, it's an accessible game story-wise. It looks pretty.
It's not violent.
No, it's not violent at all. It's spin the thing. And, you don't kill things, you just knock them out of the screen.
That's a thing I think is worth pointing out that I think a lot of people don't realise is that kids today, you kind of, unless you get them, the Lego games or Skylander games, there's really not much of a market at, family cartoon-based games. Not. Where there used to be a huge market. A lot of the games I grew up on, all the Spyro Race, Crashes, Jacks, and, whatever, all these kind of Croc and all this sort of stuff, they were...
Banjo,
because there's really there's not many games for kids these days, or just family-based games. So... Yeah, as I was playing it, I was thinking that I'm like, you can't you don't kill anyone. Even the human-based characters, you bounce on them, you spin them, they just kind of minimize their lives into nothingness, but they don't actually die. Yeah, so I'll be interested. I think if people are buying this for kids, it'll be an interesting thing for people who are growing up. I don't know, what do kids play in Minecraft?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. Mario? Mario's really the only thing left as far as platformers go in that outlook. But no, I'm very, very happy with it. Very worth the price tag. I wouldn't pay $80, $90 for it.
No, I don't think it's worth $80, $90.
I think at 20, I'm very happy. Even at 40, 50, I would have been pleased.
Yeah, I think I'm riding at $50 mark. I think it's a fine price. I think if you're paying $60, you're probably paying about $10 too much. But I think if you can get it around that $50 price, that's fine. And I think if you don't... if you don't want to pay that $50 now, you could probably wait 6 months, get it a little bit cheaper if you want to. Christmas
sale,
or something like that. But I think it is worth picking up, and I think if you have that nostalgia boner and you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to. Maybe it's not as fun.
Ride that nostalgia wave. Ride that wave.
Just do it. Just give in to it. Like, just stop thinking too much about it. Go to your store. See if they have Crash. They probably don't. Put your name on the list and try and buy this game.
Someone will trade it in. So just wait for a pre-owned to come.
Well, there's probably a lot of that's probably already happening. Let's be honest.
Someone's gotten frustrating. Or fuck this game.
I reckon that's already happened.
For sure.
So Crash Bandicoot, the N-Sane Trilogy, or whatever the hell we said it was called. I can never remember the name. I'll never remember the name. The Crash Trilogy, great release. N-Sane Trilogy. Sorry, having a blast with it. Go check out twitch.tv/Explosion Network where I streamed, or you can head to the link down below. We'll have a link to our Twitch VOD channel where you can watch my streams if you missed them and stuff like that. And it's been a great time. Lovely time talking about Crash to you there, Jack. Hope you enjoyed it.
It has been a pleasure.
Spin your way. Aku Aku. Out.
Pat pat.